Is we don't know what's going on. Luckily, we are going to be joined by a key member of Speaker Nancy Pelosi's House leadership team, and also joined by the chair of the House Budget Committee, two key players in this. They'll be joining us in a moment to give us an update on what was supposed to be the first vote tonight in the House on the Biden infrastructure plan. It was supposed to be a procedural vote on a budget resolution. Here's what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said today.
What's your message to moderate House Democrats who want to vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill before they'll vote on the $3.5 trillion budget blueprint? And why not just do the bipartisan deal first?
Well, I would first say that the president has every intention of signing each of these pieces of legislation into law. And what I want to be clear with you all about is he supports Speaker Pelosi's proposed path forward to get this process done. I'd also note, and you follow this all closely, but for those of you watching at home, this is a procedural vote, important one, but there are a number of different ways forward here.
President Biden has been on the phone with some of the moderate House Democrats who want to vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed by the Senate before they cast their first procedural vote on the rest of the Biden infrastructure package that will be passed through budget reconciliation, which means it can then be passed in the Senate without any Republican votes. Speaker Pelosi was reportedly hoping to push through a vote tonight on a budget resolution for the portion of the infrastructure bill that will be done in the end through budget reconciliation. But the resistance of a group of originally 9 moderate Democrats, which has now grown to 10, is now turning what was supposed to be voting night in the House into what could be a long night of negotiations in the House. And leading off our discussion tonight is Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. He is the chair of the House Democratic Caucus. Congressman Jeffries, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You're a member of the leadership team. What can you tell us about where Speaker Pelosi is at this hour and in her negotiations with that group of 10 Democrats?
Well, good evening, Lawrence. It's great to be with you. We had a robust discussion, family discussion amongst the House Democratic Caucus earlier today, so that members had an opportunity to articulate their perspectives. It's my sense that the overwhelming majority of members certainly support a parallel track approach. We want to make sure we get the bipartisan infrastructure deal done. At the same time, we want to make sure that the budget reconciliation package, which is an instrumental part of President Biden's Build Back Better agenda related to other portions of the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan, also gets over the finish line. So there's some discussions in terms of trying to figure out how we can arrive at a agreed upon rule that we can vote on. It's my expectation that we will vote at some point this evening, and we can get the process moving forward.
Well, there's less than a couple of hours left in this evening before we end up into what is called early tomorrow morning. This seems to have been dramatically slowed down by that group of 9, which over the weekend picked up another supporter. Now it's a group of 10. Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey, Democrat, has been the leader and lead spokesman for that group. Let's listen to what he had to say about this morning.
I believe both will move forward and get done. I think we'll work this out. You know, I'm ready to sit at the table, and so are my colleagues ready to sit at the table and figure this out, and we can, right? This just makes sense to get both bills moving. We can do that, you know, but there's no reason to wait 4 or 5 months or more sitting on this infrastructure package and risking that or threatening and holding it hostage like some of my colleagues are doing. That just doesn't make sense.
So that sounded like he was ready to compromise in some way this morning. Has he proposed a compromise?
Well, I know he's in discussions with Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader Hoyer, and hopefully those discussions will bear some fruit sometime soon. I think you're exactly right, Lawrence, that what Josh has said publicly is similar to what he said privately, which is that while he has a disagreement in terms of the strategic approach and the pathway forward, he doesn't disagree with the substantive need to enact the budget resolution framework in order to arrive at an agreement so we can do things that support more robustly child care and home care and health care and elder care, investing in America's children and families, along with the physical infrastructure part of the bipartisan agreement. And so I think that's the hopeful thing, that as Democrats, we're all on the same page in terms of substance. We just need to figure out what the highest common denominator is going to be as it relates to process, so we can get both of these things done, and we will.